Okay, so you want to make sure that you have 4.4.4 installed. Okay, this is the most current version. They make a lot of updates frequently, actually, to this software. So, we're going to go out 4.4.4. And the reason why this is super important for hangars is they just changed how the hangars are set up. Okay. The other thing that's important to note is that the hangar settings that we're looking at are project specific. Okay, so in each project, it will change, and that's why under settings and hangar specifications, you need to check this and set this on every different project. So as soon as this thing comes up here, I don't know what it's thinking about now. Okay, under hangars, I'm sorry, under settings and hanger specifications, you need to make sure that it kind of looks like this. You'll have your rod embeds and then hanger configuration. We'll go through this in a second, but just to make sure, whenever you get into this, this is kind of what it should look like. You shouldn't have any buttons across the bottom or anything like that. Now, I did say everything is project specific. So in here you have import and export. So once we set this up once, however we like it, you can transfer it from job to job. That's what this is for. And I'm pretty sure the save as default uh, sets this, and it might go from project to project. I haven't tried it yet, to be honest with you, but you can mess around with it. I would always export to file first. And then if you set as default and then try it in a different job, you can always import it back in. That way you can save your changes. Okay. Okay. So just getting into the hanger setup, I just went in here and I opened up a blank project. So project didn't even matter what template it was in. Yeah, I think this is the construction template. It didn't even matter. And then I loaded, or I can even do that now. You can just go in here and load either one of these. The global profile right now doesn't matter. I'm just going to grab some random services because it doesn't matter a whole lot right now. I'll show you a little bit more here in a second. So just grabbing some random services here. Probably not the best duct services. But just to show you guys, as you load the eVolve hanger tool and look at the settings in a project, you will need to go under settings and hanger specifications. And this is what sets everything up. Okay? So you have to go through this if you want the tool to run properly. Okay? So if we click on hanger specifications, like I said, in a blank project, this is what comes up. The software is loaded automatically with all of the basic materials that are available in the base database, the value pack that we purchased from Applied Software. We purchased the software from the guys that wrote eVolve Mechanical. So just a heads up on that if you guys didn't know. And what they've done, this is the recent change in the hanger stuff, is that everything is based on material that's available in the database. Now, people that aren't in the database, it doesn't really matter to you, but just be aware that everything is material based. So if we wanted to go look at like some PVC pipe or whatever, currently out of the box, all sizes of PVC material, so schedule 40 PVC, schedule 80 PVC, etc., are set to be to have a spacing of 4 feet, 1 foot from the end, nothing from the joints, and then we can set the hanger types here. Now you'll see there's an error here, and we'll get to this in a second, but just be aware that out of the box, this is how this is set. Now if I try to click OK, it's going to give me an error and say one or more hanger configuration entries have errors, right? So if I open up any of these, we can see that it's got an error in here under pending action. And it's giving us an error message, service must be provided. Okay, so again, this is kind of a newer feature. But what we need to do is go in here and add our service. So before we do that, I just want to look at this table real quick and kind of what it's showing us. We can look at galvanized here and just expand this out. So this is basically your hanger command, if you guys are familiar with the hanger specifications from fabrication. If you're not, don't worry. But this is basically the same thing. Okay, so this is set up to the maximum size, so size less than or equal to, and they just put in 999 because you're not going to have anything bigger than 999, I don't think. If you do, I want to be on that project. This is spacing, so space from hanger to hanger is the spacing here. From end, so any end of duct or pipe, you will get a hanger set 1 foot from the end of that object. And then from joints, so this is either taps or tees, okay, or couplings as well, okay. Hanger type, and we'll look at how this is set inside of how the pallets are set up, and this is where the customization or where a lot of the errors kind of come from, and we'll look at some of that as we go through. So you have hanger type no insulation and hanger type with insulation. So not something that probably messes with the ductwork guys a whole lot, but on the piping side, if our hanger is going over the insulation, you would need to oversize your hanger and add a shield underneath it. Ductwork, you guys just kind of strap straight to the duct, so you don't normally have to worry about that, I don't think. Maybe when you're outside, like on a roof, and you have like some hard rigid fiberboard on the outside. And then, oh, I take that back. I'm sorry, I spoke wrong. From joint is a coupling, and then from branch or tap is a T or a tap. This is the distance from here, okay? Now, pending action is just saying the current status of this line item. And then this is just kind of giving you some feedback on what's going on here if you have an error. And then this is what sets the type that this hanger applies to. Now, obviously, under galvanized, you guys have rectangular, round, and oval, so you need a way to have different hangers for those. On the piping side, let me just go grab some PVC again. You can see it's set to pipe work. And really, these are your 4 options to choose from: pipe work, duct round, rectangular, and oval. Okay, so that's the basics of this table. Are there any questions so far? Okay, so that is the hanger configuration page. The next page is rod embeds, which we'll look at. This is basically any deck inserts, okay? And then the last one is options. So this use half perimeter for rectangular duct, this has something to do with this magnet tables. You guys could educate me on that, on why you would need this if you're setting the distance. Maybe it has something to do with switching from straps to rods. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you, but that's what the help section says. If I'm being completely honest, it says something to do with SMACNA. Hanger placement method, where is it? Boom, boom, boom. I don't know, I'll have to find it. I thought I had it up here. But it has something to do with SMACNA. I don't know, you guys can tell me what that means, but that's what it's for, at least. And then the hangers will actually run collision adjustments as they're placed. That's what this setting is for. So if you're in a really congested room, you have ducts on top of ducts and pipes on top of ducts and all these other things, it'll actually move the hangers and clash them as they're being put in. You can set in your maximum movement intervals and things like that in your tolerance. And then it'll also highlight which hangers and which objects are clashing. Elena and I were running some of this the other day. Currently, it does not work with linked models, which kind of sucks. But I have a meeting with the dev team here pretty soon. We're going to figure out if we can make that happen. Yeah. So again, these are the 3 tabs that we're looking at, and kind of what your interface should look like as you guys come in here. Okay. So beyond Andy's rogue installation or whatever it is. Does anybody else have any questions yet? Nothing? Okay, I'm going to keep on running here. Okay, so when you guys get into this, and again, what I'm working on and what I haven't set up yet, I was a little premature on the training, but I wanted to get this in your guys' hands and have you guys start messing around with it. Is I'm working on a standard like import, export, and a setting for all of these. There's a lot to go into when you go into setting this up in relation to the database and the hangers and all these things. And right now we are working on standardizing our database as far as hangers and things go on the plumbing piping side. So that's why we currently don't have a standard yet. Yeah. Everything's related to rod sizes and things and stuff like that. So that's why the standard isn't set yet, because it will change the hanger type depending on what service you're in. Okay, so getting into this, we can see in this model right here, I want to load, here let's choose a different one. Here let's just do this 2-inch pressure. So, you know, we have all of these different services loaded. Actually, let's go to a condenser water. So we can see on this service, and this is mostly for piping guys, but it can apply to ductwork too, I assume, if you're switching from like ductboard to metal and stuff like that. Yeah, so you can see here we have grooved, which is a carbon steel material, and then we also have copper, which is a copper material. The hanging requirements are different, even by size on the piping side. So I know that the sheet metal guys, we like to standardize our distances, and that's awesome. The piping guys, it's a little more complicated. But what's real important to understand is for each service, and this is again why we don't have our standard set up yet, you will have different hangers in the pallet depending on what material you have and what the hanger specification is on plumbing piping specifically. Now again, sheet metal guys don't have to worry about this so much, but just note that if you are a plumbing piping guy, depending on which project and which system you're running, the rod sizes change even for the same material. So there's something called the MSS standard. SP69 is the division specifically that dictates that. But you have different hanger spacing for steel than you do for copper, even of the same pipe size. Okay. Now on other projects, and that's for like domestic systems. Let me load a domestic water. I'm sorry, that's for mechanical systems. For things like domestic water and sanitary sewer and things like that, we have another specification or hanger standard that we can follow that is less conservative. I'm looking for domestic water that is less conservative, called UPC, which is Uniform Plumbing Code. And even those rod sizes and hanger spacings are different. So this is a lot more complicated on the piping side than it is on the sheet metal side. But be aware that this is important when you go to set your tables. And really what sets the hanger in the table is the name of the button. So as soon as this finishes reloading, I'll show you what I mean. So on the condenser water supply system, we have the MSS standard on the hangers. This is the standard for insulated steel. This right here is the MSS standard for insulated copper. And then on the loop shield stuff, this is insulated loop hanger, okay? If we go to domestic water, on cold water, on the cold water side, we have copper-plated loop hangers for uninsulated piping, and then we have clevis hangers for insulated piping with shields. Now, what we're working on right now is the standard to either swallow the hanger or not swallow the hanger, and that's what we're kind of going through right now. Right now, the idea is that we're not swallowing hangers on domestic water, but we are on condensate drain. Again, I've said this about 10 million times, but we're working that out right now. But again, what's really important is what the name of the button is. So this button says loop. This one also says loop, so that's a problem that I need to work out in the database. I must have copied this and missed this. But you have clevis with shield and loop with shield. Now if we go to like back to the condenser water supply and we look at the name of the buttons, this is ST for steel, steel with shield, and CU, clevis with shield. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand what's happening with the buttons on the pallet. So now if we go into our hanger specification, we can start building this. So you can see right off the bat that if we go into copper, you can't just have it be applied to any service. Because even in the services that we have, we don't have any buttons that say clevis hanger. This is just an out-of-the-box thing. We would actually need to go into this thing, right? Oh, I'm sorry, we need to apply a service first. So to get this error, so if I click OK, we're going to have this error and it's saying, you know, nothing's really applied to anything. So we actually need to select all, and we need to update whatever or everything that we have selected. So we're going to say for service, we need to update the value to any. And this just is kind of a blanket thing to allow us to be able to start nailing down and getting a little bit more granular. So now if I hit OK, we don't have any errors anymore, because now each material is saying that it will apply to any service. Okay, so that's what we just did by selecting this and doing a bulk update. We're allowing the service, the material, to apply to any service. That's what's happening here. Now if we get a little bit deeper into the copper specifically, we can go in here and we can say, hey, I need a different setting for copper domestic water versus copper hydronic systems. Okay, so if I say bulk update, oh, I'm sorry, we want to duplicate this first. Okay, so I'm going to say that this line item here, we're going to update the service to be for domestic cold water. And if I hit apply, we'll see now that this is now a service specific setting for the material of copper. Okay, so this is kind of your base starting point, and this is kind of a blanket setting. Now we can get more granular. So I'll duplicate this again, and I'll just say I want to update this one for service to be for condenser water and hit apply. Yeah, so now we have two different settings that are service specific. Now again, on the sheet metal side, you guys are pretty lucky. You can just say, hey, galvanized, any size is 8 feet, right? Or we could go in here and we can say duplicate this, and we're going to say for duct rectangular, anything at 999, we're going to have a let me see what is in our, and this is where it's important. I'm going to click OK, and now I got to go to my duct service and look at the supports that we have. I would assume we want strut hanger 1 5/8 for anything over 48 inches. So I'm going to say strut hanger 1 5/8 for anything over 48 inches wide. So I'm going to go back to my hanger spec, look for galvanized if we're doing a galvanized service, and we'll say duct rectangular, anything over whatever, or the largest one will be 1 5/8. Now I'm going to say anything under or less than or equal to 46 inches is going to be half strap hanger. So where is my half strap hanger? And this is very, actually we'll just say cable hanger. This is the gripple here. And then we'll say the same thing here. We'll say cable hanger. And then we'll say, oops, this is being sorted by size here. 1 5/8 on rectangular duct. We'll say strut hanger 1 5/8. Now if I hit apply, it kind of remembers those for us, and we can see our pending action and our error messages go away. Yeah. So this is basically saying anything under 48 inches will get a cable hanger or a gripple hanger, and anything over that, or I'm sorry, 46 inches, anything over that will get a strut hanger for either with or without insulation. Yeah. Now let me set this on the plumbing piping side real fast. And then we can kind of get into some examples. So is there any questions so far on what's actually happening here and what the base setup should look like? Nothing? Are you guys still there? Can you hear me? No? Can you guys not hear me?
Yep, still there.
Okay, just making sure I'm not talking to myself. I'm good at it, but it's not always so fun. Okay, so let me check on condenser water and copper right here. So let's go to our condenser water setup and look at our supports. So we basically want steel clevis, or I'm sorry, CU clevis with shield. And again, this is a problem here because we don't have any bare copper hangers in this service. So this is actually a bad example and a poor setup of the pallet. Yeah. So let me just look at domestic water specifically, and we can make sense. So ours is going to say loop. We specifically want loop without insulation, and if we have insulation, we want clevis with shield, or we can set it at loop with shield for the smaller sizes. Okay, so let's go do that real quick. Hanger spec, domestic cold water, material copper, and now we can start duplicating these as well. So we'll say anything under 2 inch, or actually, yeah, let's just put in some sizes here. So everything, I can't remember off the top of my head, we'll say 1 inch and smaller is spaced at 6 feet, 2 inch and smaller is spaced at 8 feet, and then everything else is at 10 feet. And we'll just delete this line item here because it's extra, and we delete it by selecting it and going down here and saying delete. So without insulation, we want a loop. Without insulation, we want a loop, and it probably would have been smart to set these and then duplicate them, but I guess it is what it is now. And then we'll make the small one loop with shield, and we'll make the rest of these clevis with shield. And you can see here how as soon as we set it to a specific service, only the hangers in that service are available. Okay, so that's important to note as well. So I'm going to hit apply, and then I'll go draw some pipe real quick. Oops, apply, okay. And then I'll go draw some pipe real fast just to kind of show how this runs. We'll start our hanger command. We'll start at 4 inch. Just put in some bends and things here. We'll reduce down to 2 inch. Oops. Do some more runs, and then we'll go down to 3/4. Boom. And here's kind of a neat little tidbit. I'm not sure if you guys knew this or know this, but if we use the offset command, we can set our distances, and we can actually hover over it and hit tab, and it'll copy the whole run for us. Okay, so you can actually copy the whole run, select it. I don't think I have hot water. Did I load hot water? Nice. So I loaded hot water. I changed the service here because it's made with the same service template, and we can add some insulation. We'll try this one. Boom. So now we have hot water and cold water side by side. Now let's select this and run our hanger placement, and volume combination. We're getting some errors on the copper. Let's see if it places any hangers. So the hanger with insulation was the problem. So let's go see what the deal is here. We switch this over to domestic. Oh, so what was the problem here? I switched the service and we didn't have a specific setting in our hanger specification. So I'm glad that actually happened. So we nailed it down for domestic cold water, but not domestic hot water. And that's what the error that we were getting. And you can also see that based on that, we didn't get any settings or any hangers put on the hot water system. So I'm just going to switch this back over to hot water or cold water. I'm sorry. We'll leave the insulation on there, and then we can add the hangers. And see, there's no errors that came up because it's set in our hanger spec, and it went ahead and added all the hangers with the shields on it, assuming that we're good to go here. And then let's look at this in 3D. Just because it's super awesome, and it worked pretty well. You know, here's kind of a double up, so just like the hanger command in AutoCAD, you always kind of got to go back and check it, but it works pretty well, in my opinion. Yeah, it put a lot of hangers on there in a hurry, and you know, you might have to come in here and add a couple here and here, and I'm just grabbing these and hitting the create similar command while my computer catches up here. I think it's looking for the structure that isn't there. Come on, baby. Here we go. Create similar. Boom. Yeah. So works pretty well, yeah. Is there any questions on what kind of just happened there? We basically just set the service spec, and then we selected it and said add some hangers. Yeah.
Are you able to duplicate the cold side in the settings to make it a hot side as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we can take this and duplicate it. Okay, and they're kind of doubled up here, but now we can go ahead and update this from service, from cold water to hot water, and hit apply. And now we have a hot water system and a cold water system. Yeah, so that probably would have been just as fast as switching the services out. Yeah, assuming, and again, the assumption is that your hanger types are the same, and they should be for domestic water because the same service templates used. That's why you're able to switch them back and forth. But just kind of, yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. Sound good? Any other questions? No? Okay, so I'm going to switch over.
I have a question.
Okay.
When you shift the hot and the cold, and you duplicate to the hot, does it put it on that service? So when you turn off the hot, in your work settings, does it turn off the hangers as well, or does that make sense?
So when we're changing the hanger specification here, this is only changing the way the software runs. This didn't change anything in the model. Okay. So now that we have the hot and cold water set, we can go back and we can delete all these hangers, and then we can rerun the hanger command. So we can go back here and rerun the hanger placement command, and it'll run on both systems. So now, based on what your filters are set up to be, if you turn off the hot water system and hangers are included in your filter, then the hangers will go with it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't set this to hot water. I forgot, I got a little bit too fast, but same thing. Yeah, it would have done the exact same thing. Yeah. Okay, no more questions? Yes, no? Okay, so I'm going to go over to this file that I made yesterday to go through a couple more hanger settings here. I've already gone in and updated some of the hanger specifications just for this specific this specific example here, and we'll kind of see how they run. So just for the duct, guys, I'm going to run some stuff on the duct here and show you guys what's possible. Okay, so if we highlight this run and we say hanger placement, bobbity boom, it should go ahead and put all the hangers in for us. Now I have actually already gone in and optimized the lengths on this. And again, it's a little bit tough to figure out when to optimize your lengths and look at your fittings and all that stuff. Normally you want to do it at the end. Same thing with the hangers. But what I want to note to you guys is, you know, if we're going in and we're trying to cut out joints, we can go in here and it'll actually let you stretch this out. You know, if we're actually going to burn fittings, this is a little bit tougher if you're not burning fittings, because then you got to note the throat lengths and all this other stuff. But you know, we can go in here and it will remember the hanger on the end of this thing here. And it should, in my understanding, yeah, it stays connected to the run. Yeah. So you can go in here, we can start stretching these out. Kind of push this up on the hanger a little bit. Here's the transition. We can go ahead and move that, stretch that out. Here's another hanger to pull out another joint. And again, the hanger stays there. Yeah. And what I was showing earlier about the offset stuff, if you go in here and draw in, show service. If you go in here and draw something, it's like we have rectangular elbow set or mitered elbow set. You can actually use the offset command on this as well. I'm sorry, offset. And we'll maybe have a 3-foot offset. You can do one at a time and it'll connect them as you go. Or, you know, you guys don't usually have a lot of side-by-side ducts, but you can do the whole run at the same time. Yeah. Which is pretty sweet, in my opinion. And then again, if we don't like these elbows, we can kind of select instances and switch them out to full radius here. Things like that. Yeah, there's the trim command if you guys are not aware of the trim command. You can trim these in. And then there's also, if we go ahead and use our exclude from fill, we should be able to set full radius round as the base. Oh, shoot. The computer's starting to lag here. Come on. I'm remoting into my computer at work, so there it goes. It's freaking out here. Yeah, sometimes this freaks out a little bit based on the setting. I don't know why, but you guys get the point. Yeah. Okay, so, and then if we were going to add, duct with rods on it, let's just make a super big one. We'll call it like, I don't know, 60 by 40. Oops. 60 by 40. Boom. And we were going to add some supports. I'll show you why I'm doing this in a second. That actually uses rod. And we could optimize the lengths here too if I was smart, but optimize lengths. I'll show you why I did that here in a second. So that's ductwork. Piping's the same thing. Cast iron. Get everything in there, optimize your lengths, and then run the hanger command. This is cast iron down here, so we'll do hanger placement. It runs really well on cast iron, like super good. It runs pretty well on plastic as well. Hanger placement. Oh, it looks like I didn't set the hanger placement for PVC here. So we could go in there and do that. I think you guys are aware of how to do that. So are there any questions so far before I move on to the multi-service bear settings? No? Okay. So we've looked at ductwork single runs. We've looked at pipework single runs. Now let's look at the multi-service bear. And this is really cool. They did a really good job with this. So the way the multi-service bear works is the first time you click on this button, and this is something that Alana and I ran into the other day, what it's doing is it's asking you to select parallel straights for bear placement. So whatever you have in a run that's parallel, that's what they want. Now if you select all of this, you're going to get a poor result. okay, because it's trying to find all these different parallel runs. It doesn't really work. What you want to do is just select the beginning of the run and hit finish. Oops. You want to select the beginning of the run and hit finish. And then you want to, I don't think you grabbed my, hang on, let me undo that. So when you first select this, I think it's shift click. Select these. Okay, yes. So this is what Elena and I ran into the other day. When you first select this, it brings up this placement mode setting here, and it asks you kind of which service you want to use. Now, in real life, you're not going to have all three of these be the same service, so you're going to have to select which service you want to pick. Now, I just drew this real quick. These are all the same service. Generally, you'd have like supply, return, and then some condenser water or something. But all that really matters is it's just picking the service that holds the hanger on the pallet. Okay, so that's important. You can have it do the entire path, the change of direction, or just a single hanger across all of these. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then it's going to ask you which hanger you want to use. Now, obviously, you want to use a strut type hanger, a trapeze type hanger. So I'm just going to say 1/2 inch rod, 1 5/8 strut. And then here's where you can set your spacing from hanger to hanger, and then from end, and then you can align to the bottom of insulation. I'm pretty sure if you don't check this, it goes to the bottom of the pipe. But as you use this more, you'll find out kind of how this runs. Now again, if I click OK, it's asking me what direction we want to go with on this run. So I'm going to click this way, and we kind of saw it run already. It went ahead and placed all of these hangers on this trapeze rack automatically. It even caught this branch here, yeah, which is it's pretty amazing the way they have this set. This is an elevation change. It works really, really well, like surprisingly well. Okay. I guess that's our meeting, Eric, coming up. But anyway, so that is the multi-service hanger. Now, if this is something that comes up with strut a lot, you know, getting into, you know, odd length angles. So if we go measure this, it also does a very good job at giving you nice round numbers for your hanger placement, and also round numbers for the ends of the struts. Everyone likes to cut strut in 2-inch increments because of the slots. Understandable, but sometimes you get into, or we place hangers or struts manually, and we get this weird numbers like 311 and 11/16. What is this one? 310 and whatever. Yeah. So, and it's not very easy to go in. There's like nowhere to go in here and input the distance on any of that stuff. So the other thing that they've added is bare width rounding. So we can go ahead and select this, and I'll select these two hangers here, the ones that I screwed up, and hit finish. And all it did is it took this and it changed it to an increment of 2 inches. So now 311 and whatever, now it's at 4 feet. And now this is at a good number at 4 feet. Yeah, it just goes to the nearest 2-inch increment. You guys will have to play with it and see if it rounds up or rounds down. But this is extremely useful. Okay. And the other thing that I kind of breezed over that I forgot to say was, if we go ahead and delete all of these again, and we say hangers only, if I go run this command again, oops, we just got to do the first 3 and then hit finish. It never brought the window up for the change of the settings. Okay, it just assumes that you want to keep those same settings over and over and over. So I'm just going to click in the direction we want to run, and it goes ahead and puts that in. Now, to have that window come up again, you actually have to hold the shift key. So I'm holding shift and clicking the button. Okay, and then we can go ahead and select these again, hit finish, and now the window comes up again. So maybe we only want to go to change of direction, and maybe we want to set these every 1 foot, and maybe we want a double strut on this section right here. And then it's going to ask me the path of travel, and it just went ahead and added a ton of extra hangers on this section right here based on our change settings. And you can see that the double strut is now used. Yeah, so super useful. On trapeze, this is more for piping guys, but I can see this used for ductwork as well. If you guys have, you know, big racks that are tight. What's that?
Would that work for ductwork?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys want
What about double stack?
double stack? It won't work for double stack. It will work for single stack though. You just pick the bottom one and then copy it up. Yeah. But it will definitely work for ductwork. So here, let's just do a run here. I gotta get the button. Come on, baby. I don't know why it won't let me here. So let's just go 20 by 10 just to make life easy. And then we can use our offset command. Boom. Tab. Tab. And then multi-service bear. So I'm going to hold shift just to start over and hit finish. And it's going to ask me what we want to, what service. We'll do the entire path. And we're going to say strut hanger. And we'll put these every 2 feet just for fun. And then the direction of travel. And boom. Yeah. So it's kind of weird on ductwork. You'll have to come and work out some of these weird angles and stuff. But it definitely works on ductwork for sure. So extremely useful in my opinion. Putting hangers on racks is very time consuming. So, okay, any other questions? No? Okay, now we're going to get into rod adjustments. And again, that's why I wanted to do rods on some of the ductwork, and this will work good too. So for the rod adjustments, what this is actually for is this is for placing inserts in the deck, or it's for extending rods up into the deck. You know, if you want to add a little bit of extra rod on the end of your run on the top of it, things like that. So I'm going to cut a section here and show you kind of what's possible. So let me put in, so I'm going to put in a reference plane here, RP, and we'll do it like a sloped reference plane just to make it fun. So this reference plane, we have to name it. So we'll say slope deck, boom. Okay, and then I'll show you what we can do with floors as well. So the reason why you need an upper plane is because eVolve will let you actually run your rods up to reference planes or up to the structure. Now, before we were looking at the hanger specifications under, what's that? Is that a question or a non-mute? Okay, I'm assuming it's a non-mute. Okay, so under hanger specifications here on the rod embeds tab, these are the families that come with eVolve. I will be going through these and possibly updating them, possibly not. It kind of depends. I don't think the beam clamp is super useful unless we spend a lot of time figuring out where the steel is at. But anyway, so these are just like, these are different model numbers for different deck types. And I don't know what the differences are. I think MD is metal deck. WF is wood framing or wood form. I'm pretty sure that's what the difference is for these. And we will be getting, or I will be getting deeper into this and working on a shared repository to put these and set up our shared repository for embed families. Right now everything is out of the box, but I'm getting deeper into this. So just kind of be aware of that. But so this is how it picks which rod embeds are available to use based on which rod size. And again, rod sizes are very difficult to set on the piping side through the database. So that's why we don't have the full standard set up yet. But this will work for what we're doing right now. So I'll click OK, because just so you guys are aware where that comes from. So I'm going to click on rod embeds here. And it's asking me which hangers. So I'm going to say which hangers I want to include. We'll do all these duct hangers here. Ba-boom. And then here is where all the rubber meets the road. Okay, so we can either extend into structure. If you have a structure, we'll look at this one here in a second, or you can extend to our reference plane. Again, to extend to a reference plane, you have to have a named reference plane in your model. Okay, so I'm going to pick sloped deck, and then options here. Do you want to include the embed depth? Do you want to update the rounding on your rods? Sometimes this is good. This doesn't really matter. I'm going to uncheck this. And do you want to include the upper attachment? I'm going to say yes for include, and I'm just going to use all the out-of-the-box settings right here. But basically, this is just what you can choose from depending on what's in your hanger spec. So I'm going to click OK. Ba-boom. And it's go ahead and it's placing all of the inserts at the top of the rods that were extended to our sloped reference plane. Okay, so it's all done, and then even on top it's got this AutoCAD inlay on it with a symbol to show the rod size. Now if we look at this in 3D, boom here, if we look at this in 3D, we can see that, you know, everything has kind of been placed in our model for us. And maybe I didn't have enough slope on that reference plane to get a whole lot of dramatic appeal on it. So let's make another one going this way, and we can redo that real fast. So go to View, RP, and we'll do a real sharp one here. We'll name this Slope 2. Ba-boom, 3D view. I'm just going to delete all of these, and we'll run our command one more time. So we'll do rod adjustments, select all of our hangers. Ba-boom, we're going to extend to slope 2. We're going to include all the same stuff, and we're going to click OK. It's going to go ahead and push all of the rods up to that reference plane and add all the embeds in. This is very useful in general for everybody, and we can see how the hanger rods step up as the reference plane goes up. Now the thing that I don't know, and maybe we can check, is if you're allowed to have different rod lengths on the ends of the struts. I can't remember. I think you are. Maybe let's do one more example and find out. Go to View. Let's do a real dramatic one here. And we'll call this slope 3. And select all instances. Oops, what did I do? Just delete those. And we'll run it one more time. And we'll see. Extend to reference plane. We want slope 3, upper attachment. Ba-boom. Let's see if it gives us what we're looking for. I didn't know if it did this or not, so I'm glad we're looking. Babushka. And yeah, cool. So you can have different rod lengths on each side. That's pretty sweet. Oh wait, even on this one you can. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah. So let's go ahead and look at the piping side one, since we just did a bunch of ductwork. Now here's a cool one. So I think everybody knows now, if you have a floor or structure above these hangers, the hangers will go automatically up to the structure, even in linked models. So if we have a model that's linked in, oh, there we go. Even if you have a floor or a structure in a linked model, it will let you. It will go up to. Does it let me stretch this? Modify sub-elements. There we go. So let's slope this 4 here. And this is available right out of the box. So if I say select all instances visible in view, we say attach to structure, they'll go right up to the structure. So nothing super important there. Where eVolve is awesome is it lets you go to a reference plane if we want, or to the structure if we want. So I'm just going to say extend into structure. And this is cool too. I kind of glossed over this one. We'll do the embed depth, and we'll include the upper attachment. So we'll let this thing run. It actually extends the rod into the family for prefabrication. So if I hide this, we can see how the rod is extended up into this object. Yeah. So this gives you the exact embed depth that you need for any of your inserts. Okay. And that is super useful. Okay. Because now you can prefabricate all of your threaded rods for any hanger that you use this on. Yeah. For including the insert depth as well. Yeah. And I believe at this point that covers everything. Let me make sure. Options. Yeah, and the collision adjustment, you guys will kind of see how the collision adjustment works as you use it. These two buttons here are showing you what is colliding with what, and to clear out the clashes, which is basically the highlighted elements. So you guys can play around with these two buttons, but they're pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. So any questions on how to use the hanger command and what it can do for us in eVolve?
What about going to Trimble?
What's that?
Where's that at? What about getting the points to a Trimble?
Okay, yeah, and we can go through that. We can go through that next week or the week after.
Okay.
But yeah, that is also available. I wanted to cover that a little bit different because you can add special points in there. But generally speaking, we can do points by view. It will auto number inside of this dialog, or you can also use your renumber command, which they moved on me. Where the heck is it? Oh, right here, renumber. You can also renumber your hangers using this, which will update the hanger points. It's a little confusing because this embed has a nested family into it that is kind of like one of these points. So these are the eVolve Trimble points. We'll just pick a random one. So this is the eVolve Trimble point here. These are also embedded into the family. So you can kind of double up sometimes if you're not careful. But we can do a separate class just on doing the Trimble points, yeah. But know that it is possible. Like right now, if you guys didn't use the embeds and weren't worrying about all that, you wanted to just do hangers, like we were just doing hangers. Let's just isolate these right here. You could go ahead and points by view. It'll just do the points in this view, I'm pretty sure. But there's a lot of settings for auto number, starting with these numbers. Oh, you got to check all your rows. And it always adds the 1 and 2 on the end of here. It's kind of confusing, but it'll take a little bit longer to go through. Yeah, but pretty much as soon as you have it in here, you can export your points. You can even set the XYZ and YXZ if you're kind of up to speed on some of those things. It tells you the service and all that stuff. Yeah. But we'll look at that next time or another time. All right, everyone. Thank you very, very much. Have yourself a good day. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to you later.